Need your mind, your body, your soul. I love it when you make me feel like I'm in control. We ain't gotta tell no one, let's keep.
Hey fellow foodies, it's Faye from faysfood.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make these homemade orange rolls. So the first thing we want to do is make a starter, and that's just consisting of some flour, water, and milk. I mixed it up really well and then microwaved it, and after you microwave it, it will become much thicker, kind of like a paste, like this. So obviously it's also going to be hot because it's out of the microwave, so we're going to just set it to the side for it to cool while we prep everything else. And the starter is really just going to help keep the rolls soft even throughout like day 3. They'll remain soft because of that starter. Okay, so I have the starter in a bowl. I'm going to add in my milk mixture, which is just some whole milk and buttermilk. I did microwave it so that they're lukewarm. And I'm going to whisk these things together until the starter dissolves into the milk. I was initially going to make this recipe with my stand mixer, however, I do want to show you that you can make brioche dough very easily just by hand. Alright, so the next step is to add in the eggs, and I'm just adding the eggs in one at a time. So after each addition, you really want to whisk it really well. And after the eggs are in, we're going to add in the yeast, since this is a yeasted dough. And after the yeast is in, we can start to add in the flour. We're not going to add in all the flour, just a bit of it, around half of it. And I do use bread flour and cake flour, and there is a reason behind that in terms of texture of the rolls. But if you just want to use all-purpose because that's all you have, it will work just fine. So don't feel like you're short-changing yourself if you use all-purpose. You can do that if it's more convenient for you. Okay, so after our flour is in, we can begin to fold all this stuff together until it's just combined. We're not wanting to mix this until it's, thoroughly mixed together. We're just trying to get it started really here. And in case you haven't noticed, I will tell on myself here. This is my cinnamon roll recipe. Same exact recipe. The only difference is with this tutorial, I'm showing you how to do it by hand. And of course, we're going to have a different filling and topping. However, my cinnamon roll recipe, I really like the rolls. They're really nice and soft and fluffy, and they're kind of neutral tasting. They're not super sweet. So it really allows the filling and topping to take over in terms of flavor. So we're just going to use the same exact dough. Alright, so after it's mixed, I let it sit on the counter for about 20 minutes just for the dough to get some rest, and it allowed me also to prep other things that I have going on. I'm going to now add in the sugar and salt all at once, and I'm going to mix that in. And obviously it's going to become stiffer as you go, so it will be a little bit harder to mix, but just do your best. And of course you don't have to do it by hand. I'm just showing you that you can. You can obviously use your stand mixer or hand mixer if that's easier for you. Okay, so now that the sugar and salt are in, I'm going to add in the butter in chunks. And this is where the brioche element comes in. The butter, make sure you use a pretty good quality butter, as well as make sure that it's softened, and you want to add it one at a time, like one or two chunks at a time, and also make sure it's unsalted. That's important as well. And as you add in the butter, the dough will become a bit more sticky, completely normal, and you might find that it's hard to even incorporate the butter as much as you want to. Don't worry about that, because when we need this dough, that's when all of that will be taken care of. So make sure not over mix just for the sake of trying to mix in the butter. You know, you don't wanna do that. Just get it as best as you can, and we'll move on. Okay, so now that all the butter is in, I can go ahead and add in the rest of the flour, and not even mix it. I'm literally just getting it started here, so it's not a big, huge mess, even though it would be a big, huge mess anyways, but you know what I mean. So you can see my surface is unfloured. I'm gonna go ahead and pour everything onto my table, and we're going to begin to knead this really well. For me, it took about like 5 to 8 minutes for everything to become incorporated. And obviously the humidity of your kitchen will, change things up for you. If you find that the dough is really, really sticking and it's just totally unworkable, you can add a bit of flour to your surface. Just a little bit. You don't want to overdo it here, because this is meant to be a moist, sticky dough. That's what's going to lead to a moist, fluffy roll. So it's completely normal that it's sticky, but if you find it totally unworkable, then use what you think you have to use. Right, so after you work with it, the butter will become incorporated, the flour will become incorporated, and you get this nice smooth ball of dough. So we're going to put it in a bowl that is sprayed with some cooking spray. You want to make sure you have a bowl that allows the dough to rise enough. So, and then you want to cover it with a damp towel, and then some plastic wrap. Put it in a warm spot for about an hour and a half. And after that, you can see it proofed up pretty well. And what you want to do after that is cover it with plastic wrap, making sure that the surface does not touch the dough, and then refrigerate it overnight. Okay, so this is the next day. We're working on our filling, and our filling is some unsalted butter, softened of course, to make our lives easier. Some confectioner's sugar. There's no need to sift it because it's going to be in the filling. No one's going to see it if there's some lumps. Some orange juice and orange zest, salt, orange extract, vanilla extract, and almond extract. And that's really our filling. And what you want to do is start by mixing it slowly, and then you can bump up the speed and it will become incorporated like this and look more like kind of like icing. This filling is so good because it's going to make the rolls nice and buttery, citrusy. It's just a really good combination. And of course, you don't need to use a stand mixer for the filling either. You can do as you please. If the butter's soft enough, you can just use a good old rubber spatula. Okay, so here we are. We're ready to roll out the dough. And I'm going to show you how soft this dough is. You don't even have to use a rolling pin. So I'm going to just plop it onto the surface. Again, my surface is unfloured. I'm just going to put a bit of flour on my hands, and I'm going to begin to pat out the dough into kind of a rectangular shape, similar to if you've ever made cinnamon rolls. It's the same exact process. Okay, and then and of course, if you find it sticking, you can put a little bit of flour on the table, so don't feel like it's a sin to do it. You can do that if that's necessary. Alright, so now we can add in and slather on our beautiful buttery filling. I love cinnamon rolls, but from time to time you want to change it up, and this is a great summer brunch dish, I think. So you want to change it up sometimes. So you want to go ahead and spread it as evenly as you can, so every little bit of that dough gets some buttery love. And then you can begin to roll it up from the sides, slowly but surely. And you want to do it, you know, tight, but you don't want to kill the dough either. You don't want to overdo it. And you can see that I did end up needing a bit of flour. Again, all our humidity in the kitchens will be different. So if you find that you need some flour, use some flour. Pretty simple. Okay, so now we have our rolled up dough, and I can begin to cut it. You can use unflavored dental floss or like kitchen string. You can use a knife. I'm using this handy dandy mini spatula that I tend to use for a lot of things in the kitchen. So I'm just gonna cut my pieces here, and I put them into, I think it's a 9 or 10 inch square pan. And I sprayed it really well with cooking spray. I buttered it up as well, just so we get more butter flavor. And you can see that there's room for them to proof, but there's not too much room, and that's key, because you don't want the air am I Nelly? You don't want the air to circulate too much in there. Alright, so you can see that we left it on the counter to proof for about an hour. Any warm spot in your house will do, but you want it to proof for about an hour. And then after that, it's ready to go in the oven. You can see I did egg wash it. It's just some egg yolk and heavy cream. You can also use some milk or water instead. But egg wash it pretty well. And then we're going to bake it at 375 for about, I think it was 20 to 25 minutes. It's going to be on the blog, obviously, but I think it was like 20 minutes. You can see they get nice and golden brown. And then after that, I did, while they were baking, I'd make a topping. This is completely optional, but definitely recommended. It's just a cream cheese topping, has a bunch of orange juice, zest, extract, vanilla extract, salt, you know, kind of reinforcing the filling flavor, but just on top. The recipe for my topping will be on the blog recipe as well. So just spread it as much as you can. Get every little nook and cranny. And obviously you do want it to cool for a little bit. You don't want to put it when it's piping hot. I let it cool for about 10, maybe 15 minutes, and then I topped it with the icing. And now the anticipation is over, and we can finally dig in. It's so exciting. And I'm just going to show you what our roll looks like. See the gooey topping and filling, perfectly buttery. It's so golden. It's so good. You can't get better than that. Like, that's what you want for brunch, I think. It's not an everyday thing. It's a special occasion thing. Okay, so let me dig into this for you to show you just how soft these rolls are. Alright, so for the full recipe, go to faysfood.com, and make sure you like this video if you do like it. I do appreciate all likes, all comments, all of that. Thank you for being patient with me when I do miss a week. I appreciate you guys so much. So anyways, comment below if you have any comments or questions. Make sure you subscribe to this channel for more great videos on the way. And until next time, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day.
Figure what you're down for. I wanna figure out to make it come around. No, we should quit the game and settle things right here, right now. I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about